Inphy, please tell me how to beat Todd 65.
No, you're fucking trash. I'm not gonna tell you how to beat Todd 65.
Inphy, please, I can't beat it. I need to know, please, Inphy.
Already told you I'm not fucking telling you. Fuck off.
Inphy, if I don't get Yeka this month, I'll KMS and fucking mega whale Inphy.
I already fucking told you you're not getting Yeka this month because you're shit. You're shit. You're never getting Yeka. Ever. It's never gonna happen. You're too shit at this game. Enjoy never getting Yeka. Fucking kill yourself. Alright. I don't like watching a grown man cry. Fine. You want to beat Todd 65? There's a reason why you can't beat Todd 65. There's a reason why you can't beat any content in this game. And it's simply because your potentials are shit. If you want to get 200,000 HP on your tanks, you need to follow this guide. If you want to get 100% crit on anybody, you need to follow this guide. If you want to get 90k attack on your DPS, you need to follow this guide. Now, first of all, let me tell you straight away, yes, you are gonna need some sets, but doesn't matter if you're a whale, doesn't matter how many sets you buy, buying good sets does not make you strong. SS gear is pretty much useless if you aren't rolling the proper potentials on your gear. And I have seen so many of you guys, pretty much the majority of people that I flame are openly, and even some of the people who I don't flame. So many of you seem to have a problem with rolling potentials, and I get accused of wailing hard for this. I don't buy gear. Yeah, I bought Sarah. Yeah, I buy the $5 fucking monthly package, whatever it is. Yeah, I paid for that $1 anniversary, bought some garbage set, whatever it was, that got fucking alchemied. But all these SS sets just came from the random pulls, the Todd, bits and pieces, all that fucking kind of shit. But the SS gears alone do not give you the OP stats. You need to roll the sick potentials. And if you're off watching some Barzark video or some FWT Reddit, then of course you've got no idea what you're going to do. All you need to do is sit through this video, and I am finally going to teach you guys this simple way to get better. You will never need to ask how to clear a Todd stage anymore, because you have the required defense and the required attack to beat stuff. It's very simple. If you aren't rolling the right pots on your weapons, you got no DPS. You won't be able to clear content. If you aren't rolling the right potentials on your armors, then you're not going to be tanky enough, and you're just going to get one shot. No wonder you can't clear anything. It doesn't make any difference if people are like, oh yeah, you need to use, Ian on Dolores to clear this shit. Well, if your Dolores hasn't got the right fucking potentials on his gear, he's not going to survive anything. He can't use his MP burn. Just sit back, get some popcorn, get a hot dog, get some Coca-Cola, get some Dr. Pepper, get some bleach, because you guys are going to learn over a year later. I'm finally going to teach you guys how to get good at this game. This is the Inphy 2017 Equipment Potentials Guide. In this guide, we are going to go over what potentials you need for all equips. But at the end of the video, I'm also going to show you the strategy you need to use, because so many of you guys are using your mod pots in the worst possible way, and modification pots are the most important fucking item in this game right now. They are the most important item, by far and away the most important item. So using them properly is going to help you, because at the end of the day, no one's got enough mod pots to get perfect potentials on all of their gear. Your priority is going to be a few pieces of gear, mostly any good S or SS gear, or some plat items is fine. But first of all, let's talk about weapon potentials, because they are pretty much the easiest equipment to roll pots on. So first of all, when you actually roll potentials on a weapon, what are your options? Well, you can get attack, flat or percentage. You can get crit rate, flat or percentage. You can get crit damage percentage. You can get damage, flat and percentage. You can get hit rate, flat and percentage. And you can get counter damage, flat and percentage. This is what you want. You want attack percentage, crit rate percentage, damage percentage, and crit damage percentage. In that order, those are the priorities. Priority 1 is attack. Priority 2 is crit rate. Priority 3 is damage and crit damage. Here's the reason why. Attack is the most important stat in this game for attack. I know, right? It's fucking incredible. I probably just blew your mind, but that is the most important stat in this game if you want to get high attack, surprisingly. Crit rate is the second most important stat, because you need to crit if you want to do more damage. Now, damage and crit damage are not as high priority, and there are two reasons why. One, because damage and crit damage scale off of attack and crit chance. So if you don't have high attack, that damage potential isn't going to be worth as much as it would be if you had a high attack. The crit damage isn't going to do anything at all if you aren't critting. So if you don't have 100% crit or high crit, why the fuck are you rolling crit damage in the first place? So when you roll for anything, you have to consider you want to get attack first and then crit. We freshly got this phantom sword for the cat slut, and we're going to modify this a few times. And I've got 91 mod pots, and if you're going to modify any piece of item, you're going to want at least 100 mod pots to do this. I'm going to show you guys how to mod weapons. So then we've just rolled, and as you can see, I've got an orange crit rate potential here. Holy shit. So if you rolled and you got these, what would you do? You would lock this and modify it, right? Wrong! You wouldn't fucking lock this, and here are 2 reasons why. 1, because crit is not higher priority as attack. 2, because this is actually not a very good crit rate to aim for on this sword. You see, there are always 3 different values for orange, for any orange potential. Whenever you roll priority 1 or priority 2 on whatever item it is, so in this case it's crit and attack that we're aiming for, you want to roll pink. Every time you lock this and you roll again, you are wasting a mod pot. That 89 mod pots basically becomes 45 mod pots, which is too much of a loss at the beginning, right at the start. So you unlock this and you roll again. So here we have crit damage. Again, you guys might be thinking, wow, shit, let me lock this, right? Wrong. It has to be pink. The first thing that you ever lock has to be pink, and it has to be a priority 1. It has to be attack, or it has to be crit chance. Now then, this is where one of the issues comes into play. What happens if you get a pink, which isn't priority 1? In this case, you get crit damage. Now, this would be nice to lock and continue rolling, only if you had over 100 pots. I would normally keep modifying this without holding this. And the reason why is because, let's say I desperately need this item to be useful. If I lock this and start rolling, I know for a fact I'm not going to get a pink attack or a pink crit. It's just too rare. So the offset has to be, I'm willing to use mod pots intelligently to wait for a better fucking potential. Like I said, crit damage, I mean, if I've got 100% crit, then yeah, maybe I want to lock this, but it's a low priority piece of shit. I don't necessarily want this. I don't necessarily care about it, but I'm going to hold it anyway and keep rolling. Let's go. Now then, here is what you might get as a result. I've wasted about, 10 pots to try to get this. I've got crit rate, 10.7%. I've got attack, 7.5%. The 7.5% attack is actually good. In fact, it's 0.5% away from the max you can get. So even though it's orange, it's actually the highest orange. And obviously the crit damage is the highest. The problem with the crit rate is it's low. It's 10.7%. It could be 11.6, it could be 12.4 orange, it could be 13.3 if it was maxed. So, if you're looking for the maximum build, this isn't going to give it to you. Here's the problem. What I might need to do is then lock this, the crit damage, and then lock the attack, and then reroll everything, because I can get 3 more potentials for crit rate that are higher than the 10.7. If I want to max crit rate, this is really important. 3% crit is the difference between being 95% crit and 100% crit. Plus, I've got this crit rate flat, which is basically useless. I want damage. So, we have a problem right here. I've got 82 mod pots. I can't roll on this anymore. Because if I roll on this anymore, I have to lock these 2. And then I start modifying. That gives me 20 rolls to get a good damage potential and a good crit rate. That probably isn't going to happen. So, in this case, you unlock it and you save your fucking pots until you've got hundreds of pots. Then you can go back to it and start modifying it, holding these 2, and then re-rolling to get a better crit rate and a damage potential as well. But the problem with at this point is you can't really hold off for the pink crit rate and the pink damage because it's too rare. That's what I mean when I say priority 1. I mean the first 1 or the first 2 that you have to get is going to be the one that you hold, right? So if it's one that you don't necessarily need that much, then just don't hold it. Here I'm going to show you if I wanted to roll this from scratch. This is a 5-star a plat sword. You can see it's got pink damage, which you want to hold, attack, which you probably want to hold. No, you wouldn't hold any of these. This attack is way too low. You can get 10% attack from 5-star. So I'm not going to hold this, and I'm not going to hold this, because I've only got 109 mod pots for 5-star, and boy, do you need mod pots for 5-star. So we're going to re-roll this. I'm going to show you one more time how to roll potentials on the weapons. You guys might see this pink counter damage, be like, oh, let me lock this. It's useless. Like I said, if it's not attack, if it's not crit, if it's not crit damage, if it's not damage percent, don't hold it. But Inphy, what if I'm doing a counter build? I want counter damage, right? Well, damage actually applies when you're countering, and counter damage only applies when you're counter damaging. So you're better off just rolling damage. And if you've got 100% crit and you're countering, you're going to counter with crit. So you just want crit damage and damage percent as well. Remember, you see this, you don't hold it. If it's not attack and it's not crit chance and it's not pink, you don't hold it ever. Okay, now this is the problem. This is what you're gonna see a lot of. You're gonna get baited by Nexon. I'm glad Nexon gave me this role. So we got a nice crit damage potential there, and a nice damage potential there. You're gonna, and even crit chance. You're like, oh, that's actually pretty good with crit chance. You're gonna want to hold these 3 or maybe these 2. You don't want to hold any of these, because this is Nexon telling you when you hold this and you hold this, you're gonna waste 4 mod pots, which is gonna give you 25 attempts to get a good crit rate and a good attack percentage, and it's just not gonna give it to you. It will just not give it to you. So every time you roll, I've just pissed down 4 pots to get flat damage and flat hit rate. It's worthless. Unlock this, unlock this. Don't be baited. Even the whales can't buy thousands of mod pots. This is the strategy to getting the best fucking pots. Priority 1, attack percentage. Priority 2, crit chance. And it has to be pink. If it isn't, keep fucking rolling, boys. And finally, we've done it. So it took a 20 mod pots. So if I was holding shit, that would have, I would barely had enough mod pots to get the crit rate. There's the pink crit rate. Now you can lock this. Now it becomes an issue, because as soon as you get the first pink, you then need to hold out for the second pink. And again, it has to be priority 1. If I get pink damage or I get pink crit damage, I'm not holding it, because going from 2 pots holding to 4 pots holding, and I don't have the fucking pots to be dealing with that shit. I have to roll pink attack, or because I'm holding and now the mod pots are being more valuable, I might hold out for a higher orange attack potential. Let's see what we get. That took so many fucking pots. Now the thing is, if I had an orange damage potential or crit damage potential and I held that as well, I would have completely been out of pots. 9.3% is actually the highest for orange, or second highest, I think, whatever. So I could hold this and then start going for the damage and the crit damage. The thing is, right now it's actually pretty good. Like, once you've locked this, you're using 4 pots, so you're gonna take any orange or any orange or any pink crit damage or damage percentage, because popping 4 pots at a time is just not fun at all. You're basically just pissing them down the drain. So you basically beggars can't be choosers, right? So that's when you lock these 2 and then you start rolling. And that is the way that you get basically a perfect item. No one's gonna have all pink pots on all of their weapons, on all of their armor, on all of their accessories, right? The point is being smart. And when you've got 100 pots, you can make it usable. Like, yeah, we've got 2 useless stats here, counter damage and attack, but it shouldn't be too many pots to actually roll. I'm not going to roll on this now because I'm saving these fucking pots, right? I already spent too much. But this weapon becomes usable. Now it's got high attack to get me up to a higher base attack, and a really high crit rate to get to that 100% crit rate. The damage and the crit damage is nice, but not essential if you're, you know, at the mid game or early end game and you're not really min-maxing your fucking items. What you will end up with once you've got like over 100 pots is something that kind of looks like this. So here you can basically, now that I've explained to you how to roll, you can kind of see what has happened here. So the crit rate was probably the first pink that popped up. I held the crit rate, then I got a decent attack potential, and then the damage and the crit damage, well, the crit damage was fantastic and the damage was blue. But I'm not gonna hold all of these 3 to re-roll damage, because that's 8 mod pods. I mean, that's crazy. So this is what I'm saying is, the attack and the crit rate are actually more useful than the crit damage and the damage. That's why I'm okay with the damage being blue. I don't mind that. It's not terrible. What would be even worse is if the damage was orange and the attack was blue. If the attack was blue, then I would need to re-roll that to get that higher. But it doesn't need to be that. It doesn't need to be any higher than it already is. If I ever come to the point where I've got 1,000 mod pots to piss away, then you know what? Yeah, I might hold both of these two and re-roll these so I can get the 10% attack and the pink damage potential. But I'm never gonna have 1,000 mod pots, so you gotta make do. In terms of priorities as well, you need to prioritize based off of, you know, if you need to get a low priority potential. So here you can see got the attack, got the crit damage. So all I need is the damage, right? Well, I'd rather start building up a different item to get that higher, and actually not high, but you know, usable and useful, than spending 8 modification stones just so I can pray to God to get a damage percentage and have it high. Here it's flat attack, so it's not terrible, you know. So all you need to remember is this: attack and crit chance. Keep rolling until you get a pink one, then hold it, get the other one at least orange, and then depending on how many stones you have, you can get your crit damage and your damage percent after that. And if it's orange, then great. If it's blue, then I wouldn't hold anything after that, to be honest. Spending 8 stones just to get a damage or a crit damage percentage, you know, a bit higher is just not worth it. Spending 1 stone to potentially get a pink crit percentage or an attack percentage is basically what you want to do. So next up, we are going to be talking about armors, and they are also fairly simple, but maybe a bit more complicated than weapons because you have a bit of choice here. With armors, you can get flat HP, percentage HP, flat HP regen, percentage HP regen, flat dodge, percentage dodge, flat defense, percentage defense, flat damage taken, percentage damage taken, and flat counter rate and percentage counter rate. Now, priority 1 is always HP. Priority 2 is then defense. Why do we value HP more than defense? Very simple. Defense has diminishing returns. Once you get to a certain point, the more defense you add on, the less it becomes useful. It starts scaling down. The only point it becomes useful is those characters that have decreased defense. The decreased defense becomes less useful the more extra defense you have. However, HP does not scale. Every time you add 100 HP, you get 100 HP. Every time you get 1% HP, if you've got 100,000 HP, you'll get 1,000 HP, always. Not only that, but more and more characters these days, see the new character, see Scion, are doing a flat amount of HP damage. The only defense to that is HP and damage taken, but don't worry about damage taken because it's minuscule compared to HP. So if you want to get that 200k HP tank or whatever it is you need, you're going to want your pink HP potential. So in this case, you can see what's happened. Here, I don't have a lot of modification stones. I've got 46, right? So, I got my HP pink potential. I got my defense pink potential. What other 2 potentials do I need? Priority 3 and priority 4 actually vary. In a lot of cases, you might want to run dodge, because dodge is actually quite useful in this game. To get your dodge up to, you know, 30% isn't too hard if you run dodge potentials and you have some dodge equipment. So you could attempt to go for dodge afterwards. If you're not building a tank, you should take percentage damage taken. And the reason why you would do it on not building a tank is because this is the last calculation that takes place, the damage taken. So if you've got a high HP pool but a low defense stat, the percentage damage taken is actually worth more, because you're receiving so much damage for every 1% that you reduce. It's worth more than if you were a tank where you're not taking hardly any damage. If you are building tank, actually one thing that you might want to get is flat HP and flat defense, just to get you to the 70%, if that's your goal. If your goal is to get to that 70% defense area, you can roll a flat defense potential. That's absolutely fine. And a flat HP potential, that's absolutely fine. The reason why is because the regen is too low. If you get flat regen, get rid of it. If you get percentage HP regen, I wouldn't fucking hold on to it. It's too low. Like, even 5 stars, 2.5%. If you want to go for a regen build, then get sets that give you regen. Don't depend entirely on the potentials. It's just not worth it. 1.5% HP every turn is 1,500 HP. If you've got 100,000 HP. It's just not really that viable. I guess if you got a tank with 200,000 HP, then maybe you could roll in it, but the flat HP and the flat defense is far gonna outweigh getting an extra 1,000 HP per turn, seriously. For those of you guys who are thinking, oh yeah, but remember the counter build, Inphy, the counter build. If you're gonna be building counter, you're already gonna get 8,000 fucking counter. from the outer space set. If you want to counter build, don't roll counter potentials on your gear. So the general rule of thumb is get your HP or your defense pink potential, lock it, get the other one, the HP or defense, and then honestly roll any tanky stat you like. Here, for instance, we got the 2.5% HP regen, so I held on to it, and the flat HP, which is nice, so I held on to that as well. So it's a decent gear. I mean, this is okay. Here's something we can attempt to modify, because this is actually quite a bad potentials right here. A low HP, not a pink defense. It's got a pink dodge, but because I'm not building Celeste dodge, that 10% dodge is actually worthless. So we're gonna re-roll all of this shit and pray to God to get the pink HP potential. I got over 100 stones. Here we go. So you guys might roll this and you might think, oh, okay, Inphy, I got to hold this, right? No, you don't hold the 4.8. When you're rolling, you are always rolling for pink all the fucking time. Only exception is if you get the third best HP. 4.8% is fucking low. You can already go and see another piece of gear and you're like, oh, this has got 5.6 HP and it's orange. And this thing that I'm rolling has got 4.8% HP and it's orange. So even though it's orange, doesn't mean that it's good. So let's stop here for a second. We've got an orange dodge potential, a pink defense potential, and an orange HP potential. This might look good, and you might be like, oh, let me just hold all of this and just waste 8 modification stones. No, you really don't want to do that. Honestly, what I would do in this situation is hold the pink defense and reroll everything. Like I said, the 4.8 is actually quite low. It can go up to 6 for 3-star. So you wouldn't lock this. I mean, the problem is this. If you lock the orange HP potential, you are basically spending an extra 2 modification stones. You're pissing them down to not get the perfect HP potential, which is priority 1. Like I said, HP is the most important. So I wouldn't hold it. I would hold the defense potential. I'm going to roll a bit, see if we get something higher. And we did get something higher. So in this case, I would hold this because 5.6%, it's not much difference, right? And then from here, these two are useless. Flat damage taken and recover HP per turn, they're useless. So I would then hold this and I would roll to get whatever, HP regen percentage or dodge maybe or something. It doesn't really matter. These are the most important tanky stats for absolutely everybody. So these are the 2 that I would hold. But even in this form, it's actually fine. And I don't want to waste 4 potential stones when I've got 74 just to make this a bit better. When it's already almost there, to be honest. It looks like, oh, it's shit. If I transcended this, everyone in chat would be like, oh, nice damage taken potential. But it doesn't matter. Who cares if it's damage taken flat or counter rate or dodge? I mean, the fucking bitch isn't going to counter if she's not being built counter. And the bitch isn't going to dodge if she isn't being built dodge. So actually, it's not terrible. It's actually pretty good. If you are building a dodge build, then you still need HP and defense. Like, you still need it. I mean, this is the Phantom set, right? And this has got defense. So you still want your defense potential and you still want your HP potential. I mean, you're probably still going to get one shot if your dodge doesn't activate, if you've got like 30 or 40 or 50 or 80% dodge or whatever it is. But at least if you've got defense and HP in the PvE world, if you don't dodge, you might not get one shot. Even if you're building a dodge build, you should still prioritize HP over everything. It is the most important stat in this game. When your HP goes to 0, you die. You guys get that, right? So it's the most important fucking potential you can get. So it should be as high as possible. Here, it's not the pink one, but the pink's 8%. So it's not terrible that it's 7.5%. Here, I got the pink defense potential. So I held that, got the HP, got the dodge. And obviously, I don't care about this. I'm not going to waste 8 potentials to try to get this slightly better with maybe like a flat HP or flat dodge potential. That's way too much potential stones. If you look at some of the other 4-star items that I also want to be using, this doesn't have attack or a good pink crit rate. So I'm going to want to use stones on this. Again, it's about priority. Once you get the 2 main priority stats that you need on your item, you don't need to waste 4 or 8 stones to make it perfect. That's way too much investment considering the amount of gear that you're probably going to have. And even if you don't have a lot of gear, it's better to just save your mod stones for when you do get some good gear and you're going to want to fucking roll potentials on it. Otherwise, it's going to be useless. And finally, we are going to talk about accessories, which are the hardest to roll for. And the reason why is because they vary depending on what star they have. So let's look at 1-star items. They do have a common theme. Among absolutely every single accessory that you roll, you're going to want to roll attack by percentage of HP. This is the reason as well why HP is a higher priority than defense on your armor slot. Because the more HP you have, the more attack you'll have from this potential. So for the 1-star accessory, priority 1 is attack by percentage of HP and percentage HP. You can get 2% HP, or you can get increase attack by 0.7% of HP. They're both the pink ones. If you get orange, for 1-star, honestly, that's fine. There's so little difference between the two, so it doesn't actually matter too much. And then the other two, once you've got those, basically down to you. Crit rate by defense is good if you're building a defense build, so obviously it's not as good for dodge builds. Percentage damage to minion is basically useless. Percentage damage to boss is useful. Flat MP can be useful if you're going to be rolling potentials on characters like Reyna who have bad MP issues, or even Yeka or Mu, so you can get extra stuns. So flat MP can be useful as well. In general, you don't need to be fussy for 1-star. Get a good HP percentage potential, get a good attack by percentage HP potential, and then whatever else. I mean, here you can see MP and recover HP of dot taken. They're both, I mean, whatever, but at 1-star, it's such low stats that doesn't particularly matter. 2-star is where it gets interesting because, first of all, you want your attack by HP percentage, like you want on every accessory, but that's priority 1. Priority 1 is also crit rate, because you can get crit rate on your 2-star accessory. If you don't have crit rate on all your 2-star accessories, this is the reason why you can't get 100% crit. This is worth like over 10% crit if you're wearing bows and all that other good shit. So this is so important. It's actually more important than attack by percentage HP. So in this instance, I got the pink crit rate and I held on to that motherfucker. Then I got my attack by HP percentage potential. Once I got those, I can roll for something else. Got the pink crit damage, which is priority 2 for your accessory on 2-star. And then the fourth one, it doesn't actually matter. This is percentage damage on Nephis, which is completely fucking useless. And we've got 100 mod pots, so we're going to roll something just to see what we get. Useless. 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 So you can see basically all the stuff that I got was useless, which is why you are not going to hold onto stuff besides these three priorities. You can get something good, you know, like a good orange MP, or maybe increased crit rate by defense is a good one as well. But it's not worth throwing 8 mod pots at this shit when you've got other stuff you need to be rolling on. Like, what the fuck do I have here? This. Okay, this has got decent, but this, for instance, doesn't have attack by HP percentage. So this is where something that I'm going to want to hold on to these guys and roll. But I don't have enough mod pots to be able to commit to that, so I don't give a shit. Inphy, you say, why don't you have attack by HP percentage on this when it's priority 1? Well, this is one of those unlucky ones where basically you get the crit rate, so you lock it, and then it rolls this, which is good, the percentage damage to boss, and the crit damage, which is good. So you kind of want to hold on to those, to be honest. And I don't have the mod pots at the moment to get that priority 1 on this. It's not that important. It's high priority for this specific item, but it's not super important and it won't make or break your attack anyways. Next, we look at 3-star accessories, and priority 1 for this is, you guessed it, attack by HP percentage potential. Here we've got the 1.9%, which is only 0.1% away from the 2%, so it's basically pink. And you can also get counter chance and counter damage on your 3-star accessories. Are they particularly important? No. If you're not building counter, you don't need counter damage and you don't need counter rate. It's like whatever. So if you wanted to make this perfect, i.e. if you had over 100 pots and you wanted to make it perfect, you'd lock this and you'd go simply for crit rate by defense and you'd go for percentage damage to boss. But because I only have 74 mod pots, I really don't give a fuck. I don't care about min-maxing this. It costs too much. This, for instance, is fine as it is. Attack by percentage HP, high. Increased crit rate by defense, high. I'm not going to want to spend 4 pots just to get something slightly better on this increased dodge and damage to minion, which is actually useless. If I had over 100 pots and I wanted to perfect this because it was SS, then I probably would go ahead and do that. But with 74 pots, and considering it's S, and considering it's on somebody that I hardly ever use, it's not worth. Next, we look at 4-star accessories. And on 4-star accessories, you guessed it, priority 1, increased attack by HP percentage. Next after that, crit rate by defense. You can also get damage taken on your 4-star accessory. Like I said, damage taken is only really useful if you're rolling it for characters with low defense. So it's okay. I mean, it's 4%. I mean, it's alright, I guess. It's not super worth, you know, I'm not going to like hold all of these to get an orange crit rate by defense potential. Only got 82 mod pots. Even if I had 300 mod pots, I wouldn't re-roll this. It's got the HP by attack. It's got the damage taken and damage to boss. And it's got an okay enough crit rate by defense. If I wanted to get this to a really high crit rate, then I would need to look at obviously increasing the crit rate by defense. But we don't need to do that, so it's fine. If I was going to waste a modification stone, so this is what Moo is wearing, it's a complete garbage build, but just ignore the build. I'm just using an example. So if I wanted to get her crit rate up, because, oh, I see this and I go, oh, look, shit, there's no crit rate, which is orange or pink here. I'm not going to waste 8 pots to roll that. Instead, we're going to go to the weapon, which doesn't even have crit rate, and then sort this out. Now, this is a complete fucking mess, because this is one of those unfortunate things where you get pink crit damage and pink damage and then orange attack, so you just want to get the crit rate replaced with the hit rate, but it's 8 pots and it's not really worth it because this weapon's not the best, but whatever. And then finally, 5-star accessory. Now your 5-star accessory is probably the most important thing that you need to roll for, and this is where the strategies really need to fucking come out hard. For 5-star accessories, priority 1 is increased attack by percentage HP and percentage attack and percentage defense. If you get a pink, any of those 3, you have to hold it. This is where you're going to want to at least way more than 100 mod pots to get a decent accessory. If I roll this and I get the attack by percentage HP, I'm going to hold on to this and re-roll the other stuff which isn't good, or the percentage attack and re-roll the other stuff that isn't good, or the percentage defense and re-roll the other stuff that isn't good if it was pink. Because these 2 are pink, I would obviously hold these and re-roll the other 2. Because the defense is orange, it's fine. I'll hold that as it is. This, recover 2% HP by turn, isn't particularly great, and you would like to get rid of it to see percentage damage to boss, or crit rate by defense if you still can't get your 100% crit rate, even though you've rolled crit on all your weapons and you're using bows. Everything else is useless. HP recovered by dot taken is useless once you get 100%. You can get 100% on your 4-star. You can get it from a mix of 3 and 2-star, so go ahead and do that. Attack by percentage MP is pretty much useless. MP is okay. Recover MP per turn is not the best, and you really don't want it. Dodge by defense isn't good unless you're running a dodge build, and dodge builds are generally shit. Percentage damage to minion is useless. Percentage damage on Nephis is also useless. Hit rate by crit rate is useless. Crit rate by defense is good, so you should aim for it. Counter rate and counter damage by hit rate and counter rate are useless, don't get it. You'll probably end up with items like this, where I was lucky enough to get the pink attack by HP, the pink attack and the pink defense. Do I want to get rid of this 20% damage on Nephis? Yes, for pretty much anything, because these are the priority ones. So I actually don't care what I roll in place of this. But do I want to spend 8 modification stones when I've got 33 to get something, you know, that's slightly useful? No, I don't. I'd rather go to my other items like this, which doesn't even have attack at all, and maybe hold these 2 and then roll for attack. So I'm spending 4 stones to get something more useful. Here's another unfortunate item where you'd probably want to hold these 3. Actually, maybe not the defense, because it's actually quite low. 13.3 is the lowest orange potential. So maybe I just want to hold these 2 and then keep rolling to get the attack. You still want the defense potential on it. So this is going to cost 4 mod pots, basically, a pop, to pray to Jesus to get a good defense and a good attack by HP potential. Again, when you got 33 pots, that's not something you can be doing. That's way too little. In that case, I would rather just spend 1 potential stone to remove all of this and start afresh, because the HP potential on this equip is just way too low. It should be 10%. It's so low. Here's another example where potential rolls gone right. So here, the HP percentage came in first. So we hold that, and then we keep rolling, and we've got the pink defense potential. Here's another accessory that I would consider re-rolling on if I had enough potentials. I'd probably hold the defense, even though it's not pink, because it's only 0.4% away from being pink, so it's basically pink. The attack is kind of low. It could be higher. It could be a higher orange, or it could be a pink. And the attack by HP percentage is also quite low. So this is something that I would roll entirely on, except for the defense. Here's a 2-star accessory that we can re-roll, just to give you guys a few ideas. The attack by HP percentage is actually quite high. It's not going to be 1.3% is the the pink one. So we could hold this in theory and try to get the crit chance. The crit damage, like I said, is useless if you're not going to be critting 100% of the time. And this isn't a build for 100% crit, so we're just going to reroll to get something better. So there the crit rate comes in. It's orange. It's 6.2%. It's actually the highest orange you can get. So that would be something that you would hold. And then use 4 mod pots to get the crit damage and just take whatever you get, basically. Let's try it. So in this case, that was actually pretty good. That was the first roll. I would basically hold this. And the reason why is because 48 mod pots, these things are lower priority anyway. Whether it's blue or orange is not terribly important because it's crit damage. It's not a 100% crit build. The crit rate by defense is also pretty decent. So here's something that you would basically just hold and be like, you know what, this is kind of good enough. Let me just move on to something that's shit. For instance, this, which is shit because it has no crit rate. One of the things that you also need to remember if you're rolling stuff is you might occasionally get a pink potential on anything which you think is good. So just because it's pink doesn't mean it's good. Recover 5 MP every turn is okay, but I'd rather have a higher attack percentage because it's just worth more. So here's an example of something that you would just completely re-roll on. Never, ever lock anything which isn't priority 1, even if it's pink. Never. Just don't do it. You're wasting so many pots. If you stockpiled 1,000 pots and you haven't rolled anything, then you're just flat out bad at the game. You shouldn't have 1,000 pots stockpiled. You should be using them. They are currency to be used. So here's something that I would probably roll on completely because the attack by HP here is medium range and it doesn't have anything else which is good really besides the damage to the boss. The Nephis thing is useless. To recover MP per turn is useless depending on which character is on. I have seen plebs and I've seen whales alike with completely shit potentials on their gear. They got less than 100k HP, they got like 20k attack, they got like 40% crit, 20% crit, 1% crit, 0 mastery, no fucking defense. That is the reason you can't clear content. And all you need to do is understand what potentials you need and what to go for. Once you get your priority pink potentials on your weapons, on your defense items, and on your accessories, you will be able to clear content so easily because shit won't just one-shot you. You'll actually do damage. The content in this game becomes easier. You don't need to spam channel 0 in this case and be like, shit, how do I clear this stage? I keep getting beat, Inphy, please, no, Inphy, don't flame me. Okay, you're blocked, Inphy. All you need to do is save your mod pots, pay attention to this guide, roll the kind of shit that I rolled, and you know what? Yes, you do need to pray to God to get some sets to get you to 200k fucking HP or over 90k attack. This SS set was given for free, the 5-star Angel Knight set. The hitter saved up so many fucking crystals pulling 4-star over months to get the hitter set. The beast, the Dasso, I always get the two mixed up. The Dasso was obtained by random daily cuckoos over a year. None of that shit was paid for. Sarah, hell yeah, I paid for that shit, $100, motherfucker. But the stats were not bought. The stats was not bought. That's the important thing. The stats were obtained free to play. That's all you need to do. Get lucky with the SS sets. The thing about pulling SS sets is this complete RNG. It's completely out of your control. You could throw your wallet and all of your cash to this game and you could get a bunch of A rank sets or you could get a bunch of SS sets. It's entirely random. Going pay to win doesn't make you good. The thing about rolling potentials is money does not help you get better potentials. Even if you're buying the fucking... Wait, what the fuck is this? Not that shit. What the fuck is this? Not that shit. Who's paying for this stuff? Not even this shit. Wow, can you not even pay to win? So you can't even pay to win to buy the mod stones. They are so important. Oh, actually, one more piece of advice as well. Because the 5-star are so important, as in the stats that you get from the pink potentials on all of your equipments are so important, you need to do this on a regular basis. Let me show you. Ain't that a bitch? Millions of... Well, actually, that was like probably less than a million or something. That was over a million. Million gold pissed down the drain. But it's so important. When you get these trash set items that Todd gives you, no doubt, you go ahead, you extract that. You get a nice spear alchemy, and you get the most important thing you can get in this fucking game. The mod pots. That 9 mod pots, mate, I'd suck dick from mod pots. This is why you need to be smart using mod pots because they're so rare, they're so hard to get, you can't even pay to win to get them. And you need a hell of a lot. to get your gear good. So you can't just be randomly holding whatever potential you want. You got to be smart. You got to use strategy. Go back, look at the videos, watch how I roll the potentials for these equips, and then you can end up rolling something amazing like this. 20% damage on Nephis. I can clear Nephis so easily thanks to this one item that I rolled once on. Modifying this would be the worst thing I could ever do in my entire life. And that is basically it. If you guys got any questions, pop them in the comments below. This is an actual helpful Inphy video. They don't come very frequently, so make sure you guys mash that like button really fucking hard. And let's see if this video can get more than 20,000 views, because if you guys are watching Varman X's top 5 tips to getting your dick sucked in Fantasy World Tactics, you are watching the wrong guide, my son. Inphy Fantasy World Tactics all motherfucking day. Like, favorite, comment, subscribe. Moose Tits OP.